Hello, everyone, and welcome to Huddle Time. My name is Frank Fulco, and I'm the CEO for Cosmetologist Chicago, and this is Huddle Time. Well, tonight we have a special guest, Mr. Winn Claybaugh. But before we get started, just a few housekeeping notes. First, I want to thank our host, Ronit Enos. She's not here tonight, but she's left this show in good hands, hopefully, with me. So, Ronit, we're thinking of you. And Salon Cadence is our sponsor for tonight. That's Ronit's company. So please feel free to reach out and touch base with Ronit at Salon Cadence. Secondly, America's Beauty Show is September 11th, 12th, and 13th in Rosemont, Illinois. And we are very excited to see all of you there. It's going to be our opportunity to reunite and build a brighter future together. We're so excited. Look for more information on social media and in your email about America's Beauty Show, September 11th, 12th, and 13th. Okay, let's get started. Tonight, we have Mr. Winn Claybaugh. Winn is a dear friend and mentor to me, as well as to thousands of others within our industry and outside. And I've had the good fortune of knowing Winn for well over a decade. He is inspirational, thoughtful, and most importantly, Winn is present. He shows up where help is needed and provides guidance and support. So with that, I'd like to welcome our guest tonight, Mr. Winn Claybaugh.
Thanks, Frank. That's a really good introduction. To say that I show up, I mean, you didn't say I'm the prettiest or I'm the smartest or the most talented. No, nobody really ever says any of those things.
Yeah, and you've always had for students, you've always had for salon owners and for school owners, and it's something that I respect deeply about you. And you're not afraid to say the truth and to take it. So I just appreciate that.
I'm not a hairdresser, never been a hairdresser, but in the industry almost 40 years. And I fell in love with the beauty industry. The good news is that the beauty industry fell in love with me a little bit. And so I'm forever grateful and never take any of this for granted.
Well, I have to tell you, it's great. When, I put together a series of questions, for our interview today, and I want to follow them, but I'm going to deviate a little bit here and there. And let's just start off with a saying that you've said many times. I've heard you say it before. And I think it's a good entry point to our discussion. And what I've heard you say before is people don't quit companies, they quit bosses. So people don't quit companies, they quit bosses. Now with COVID, so many salon owners are faced with trying to regain their teams because, through COVID, folks had to leave, they had to lay off. So how do we leverage that statement to really bring people back into the salon, or employees back into the salon?
Great question and great way to start this off. It's actually statistically 50% of people who quit a job did so to get away from the boss, to get away from a toxic culture, from toxic fellow teammates. And by the way, those who quit are not the worst employees. It's not the worst stylists that quit. It's the best. The best quit, right, and they move on because they know that they deserve better. And the worst ones, they stick around because they know they're lucky to have a job. We actually call them spoons because they just stir things up. They're part of the problem. And so to answer that question, how do you bring people back? First of all, I want to define leadership because I think that you and I are going to use that word a lot, leadership. And a lot of people think that leadership is a title, that leadership is a position, and it's not those things at all. Leadership is an attitude. It's an action. It's a behavior. It's a mindset. It's a belief system. And so when we talk about leadership, just nobody here gets to check out right now. Nobody gets to dismiss themselves saying, well, I'm not the boss. I don't have that title. I'm not the owner. And therefore, I don't have to listen to this message. All of us are leaders, and we can jump into that even more. But when we talk about leadership, and getting people back to the salon and getting people engaged and excited, because oftentimes when people are not engaged, we want to fire them. And you can't fire your way into building a better team of people. to get people
Brilliant.
back engaged in the salon, we have to be attractive. Attractiveness does not happen because you have beautiful marble floors in your salons. I'm not talking about the aesthetics of your salon that makes you attractive. What makes you attractive, bottom line, especially nowadays, is that you show up. It's amazing that people, they want all the results, they want all the accolades, but they don't even want to show up for it. And so now more than ever before, come out of retirement if that's what it takes. Get off the golf course, right? You all need to show up, and all of us need to be present. Nothing is needed more than that right now.
Oh, Winn, you are so right. I think all of us have a little bit of COVID fatigue, to say it mildly, and we're seeing it with people. Restaurants being full, people wanting to come together and show up together, and it translates to the workplace, and and for all of us. So when we dig into leadership, because we talked about, we're going to use this word a lot. Talk to us a little bit about how you define leadership, and from the perspective of a salon owner. Like, what could they do with that definition, and how can we help them frame it out in their mind?
Okay. So I have two definitions of leadership. One is someone who has influence over another human. There's a lot of fear at the grocery store. People are wearing masks, they're social distancing, and who knows, but that those strangers at the grocery store have lost loved ones. They've lost their jobs. They don't know how they're going to pay their rent, right? So there's a lot of fear at the grocery store. And so what I ask people all the time is, with those strangers at the grocery store, could you make their day? Yeah. Yeah. Could you ruin their day? Yeah. Meaning we have influence, and fear is so present on this planet right now. By the way, fear has many, many faces. Fear has the face of bad manners. So remember, in the beginning of the quarantine, decent people were at the grocery store fighting over a roll of toilet paper, right? It brought out the worst in them. Fear has the face of anger. With the social unrest and COVID, a lot of people are very angry right now, and we have to understand where that comes from. It comes from fear. Fear has lack of clarity, noise, distraction, and fear also, this one's important, fear also allows people to give up on their dreams.
Yeah.
People will settle for less. Well, the opposite of fear, I truly believe this. There are two powers that rule this universe. One is fear, and the opposite of fear is love. And what we all need to do is come back with that power, the power of love. And again, love has many faces as well. Love has the face of making someone's day. Love has the face of showing up, even when you're scared, and most of us are scared. Even when you don't have the answers, now is not the time for us to disappear. Now is not the time for us to, it would have been so easy for me to ship off to Mexico during all of this time and do distance learning with my 9-year-old daughter from down there, right? Because there's a lot of wonderful things that we could embrace during COVID, which was the idea of distance learning. Your organization absolutely mastered that, Frank, right? And still keeping people engaged and educated and passionate about the industry, all happening virtually. So we can celebrate that. But now is the time that we have the opportunity to come back together. And I think that that's a lot of what you're talking about. We have to show up for that.
So let's talk a little bit about students, because you've spent so much of your career helping students, nurturing students, creating learning environments with the Paul Mitchell schools. From the student's perspective, and I know that we're all going through this together. So every generation is being touched by it. Every group is being touched by it. Every person is being touched by COVID. But let's talk about the students. In the schools and with our younger folks, how do we help our younger people not give up on their dreams? Because their dreams are so important. There are seeds for our future in our industry. So what can we do, and what are you seeing in the schools that's helping students not give up on their dreams?
Okay, this is such a great question, and you could just basically let me talk for the next 5 days, and I have a lot to share. First of
That's
all,
why you're
I
here. That's
love.
why you're here. We want to hear from you.
Well, I love the school world. I absolutely love, because students have what we call beginner's luck, which basically means they don't know it won't work. Like there's that joke that my friend says, how many hairdressers does it take in the salon to teach a new haircut? 100. One to do the cut and 99 to stand there and say, oh, I could do that. So sometimes we do come up with that ego, that attitude in the salon. But again, students, they're hungry for this. And let me explain why that is. You know, if a child says, hey, mom and dad, I'm going to go to college, 4 years of college, not really sure what my degree is going to be, but I'm committed to that. You know, you could mess around, change your mind of what your degree, what your focus is in the first couple of years. You could get in trouble, drink too much, and guess what? Mom and dad are still behind you. Good for you. You're going to college. A child makes the announcement to mom and dad, I want to be a hairdresser. Oftentimes, this is not good news for mom and dad. And so every single student who enrolls in beauty school to enter our industry, all of them have loved ones, people in their lives who are trying to talk them out of their fantasy. No, you're not going to make money there, right? You deserve so much better. And so when they enroll in beauty school, they decide that, you know, I'm going to follow my heart. I'm going to follow my dreams. I'm going to enter the beauty industry. Now, they have a lot to prove, right? Because they don't necessarily have the moral or even the financial support from mom and dad. So they have a lot to prove. Oh, and by the way, they don't have 4 years to screw up, right? They have 1 year or less to get their hours, get their training, get everything they need to know to pass the state board, launch a brilliant career. Because again, they have a lot to prove people wrong, stay true to their dreams. And so when it comes to that beauty school student, so there they are, they're in that classroom. They are serious. They are passionate. They are hungry for this information that we all have to share. And everybody listening to this, you all have your own stories of what it took for you to be successful and what you had to compromise and sacrifice and challenge, right? Sometimes you had to open your own doors, but then we walk through that door and we slam that door shut. Why would we do that? We know what it took for us to get to where we are.
Right.
Why not open that door and then keep that door open? And what I'm saying is, all of us right now need to get back into beauty schools. We need to volunteer our time. By the way, don't wait for that beauty school to call you and ask you to come in as a guest speaker. That's not going to happen. They're not going to call you, but you make that happen. And so the best advice that I have right now, all of us need to turn around, reach back, open those doors, and provide as much opportunity, as much mentoring, as much encouragement. Because again, they're all feeling it too, right? You know, they're trying to do haircuts on a mannequin at home. They're doing finger waves on their dog at home, trying to figure this out while we were all being quarantined, while we were shut down. So now more than ever, and our industry needs that next generation.
So I want to build on this because I think you just nailed it. When as you always do, but you nailed it again. Okay, where your call to action for all of us to show up back at beauty schools, to help, to re-engage. And I have to tell you, you know, what I've seen and I might be wrong, but what I've seen over the years, personally, what I've experienced is this is a reciprocal business. You get back what you give. So if you give hope to others, you get hope back. If you give love to others, you get back. But you have to give it first to get back what you want. And that whole thought of all of us re-engaging the youth and supporting the dreams of the youth, in turn, it will re-energize us to keep going and keep fighting the battle for our own dreams. And I love that. I think it's great. So, you know, if we show up, we're at the beauty schools. How can, and I'll come out of the beauty schools in a moment here, but your experience is so deep there, and the youth, again, I'll say, they're the seeds for our future. So, one more question about the beauty schools, and then we'll migrate out. But how can salons show up at beauty schools? Like, I intellectually I get it, but let's be practical. Like, what do you think they should do? Do they call the school? Do they say, hey, I want to, like, what would a salon owner today? We've got so many great leaders in our industry. What would you like to see them do after this?
Okay. First of all, I want to piggyback on a couple of things that you said, because people say, well, I'm waiting for my ship to come in. And I always want to ask, well, how many ships have you sent out lately? You're exactly right. We all believe in the law of attraction, that what you put out there comes back to you. And so, yeah, we do need to put out that mentoring. And I've had the most famous, rich, successful hairdressers on the planet say to me that they were struggling in their careers. They were burnt out. And what gave them hope was teaching one class in a beauty school. Now, granted, they could have stayed in the salon and made thousands of dollars in the salon that day, but for free. And I'm telling you, it's for free, because they're not going to pay you. These beauty schools aren't going to pay you. For free, they volunteered a day to go into a school. And what you're doing in there is, my gosh, if you have one day as a hairdresser, guess what? You have one day more than those future professionals, those students in the school have. Meaning you have something to share. You don't have to have 20 years of experience before you then have something. They're just demoing a haircut, and they're talking about their journey, not preaching. They're just sharing. Be a storyteller. The best teachers and mentors are storytellers, and they're telling their story of their career and how they screwed up in beauty school, and mom and dad were pissed at them, and they fell down, and their instructor almost kicked them out, but they, regrouped and they recommitted themselves, and then they screwed up that hair color on that celebrity, and boy, that they got bad press over that. They're telling these stories, right? Then they go to the clinic floor, and they're walking around, and they're giving their advice, and they're doing a little haircut here, a little, here, stand like this, meaning they're just sharing. They're showing up, and they're mentoring in that beauty school. I've had those famous hairdressers leave that school, call me and say, Winn, that was the best day of my 20 years. Winn, because I am now so motivated about my career. I now have that passion to go back to my salon. Why? Because I gave something. I went into that beauty school. So to answer your question, I really have long answers here, don't I? To answer your question.
They're great. They're great. They're insightful. They're passionate. They're thoughtful. They're great.
The question to answer the question is, yeah, you call the beauty school. You call, and if you're thinking, oh, that beauty school down the street, they should close down. They're horrible. No. Even in what you think is the worst beauty school in your city, there are talented, passionate students who absolutely are going to do incredible things in this industry, and they are waiting for you. They're not going to call you. You're going to call them. Hi, this is so-and-so. I'm not going to charge. This is for free. Can I just come in, and maybe I'll bring some of my team members, and can we just come in and do a little demo? Spend a couple of hours with your students. Can we just come in and share and mentor? We don't want anything in return. We're not there to recruit. We're not there for anything other than we want to share. We want to be a part of your school's success.
So, Ben, I've had the good fortune, and I might get the name incorrect, but you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It's called Facing Tuesdays. I think that's what it's called. Pardon me. Where students get up and they face each other and they share something positive about another student. I've had the good fortune of seeing that probably in action about 4 times. And every time I see it, I'm just like, this is how we need to start our staff meetings. Like, this is what we can learn from one another. Talk to us a little bit about that.
It's just one of our cultural beliefs and practices, because study after study proves that when a team of people are laughing and having fun with each other, creativity goes up, teamwork goes up, profits go up, and absenteeism diminishes. And so we don't just hope or assume that people are having fun within our schools, within our organization. We make sure that it happens. You all have a system for payroll, right? You have a system for how you keep the salon clean. Well, tell me your system for having fun. Tell me what it is. And some people are like, well, gosh, we'll have fun a week from Sunday at the salon picnic we have planned. No, that's not a system. a system happens and it's built within how you do business every single day. And so within our Paul Mitchell schools, we have several what we call cultural systems to make sure that people are engaged and that they're having fun. So the one that you mentioned, where we face people, and FACE is an acronym. The F stands for find, the A stands for acknowledge, the C stands for celebrate, and the E stands for enjoy. So I'm gonna find what you're good at. I'm gonna catch you doing something right. I'm gonna acknowledge it in front of everybody. Right? I'm gonna shout this from the rooftops. Right? Then I'm gonna celebrate it. I'm gonna tell you how it makes me feel, why I think you're amazing. Right? And then all of us get to enjoy in this. So that's what we call FACE. We also have what we call Dance Club Fridays. So at a certain time on Fridays, everybody hits the clinic floor. So people come out of their offices, people come out of the lunchroom, and everybody hits the dance floor. They crank the music. They all do the shuffle or whatever it is that they're going to do. I have customers who get their hair done in my school who tell me that they purposely book their appointments on Fridays so that they can be there for Dance Club Fridays. And it's just simple. And some people right now, they're thinking, oh, Winn, that's so easy. That's so silly. It's supposed to be silly. It's supposed to be fun, but it's built within your system that people are now engaged.
Yep. So I would build on your call to action to salon owners. And I would recommend, if you can, I would go to a Paul Mitchell school on a Tuesday or a Friday and witness this and see it. Because there's so much that we can learn from our youth. There's so much we can contribute to our youth. But in our youth, I'll say it again, they're the seeds for our future. And not only the seeds for our future for our industry, but also for ourselves as salon owners, because it can help us stay engaged. Okay, so let's move to this post-pandemic. So we're starting to come out of this, God willing. I'm knocking on wood over here. And it seems that we're making progress. And, personally, I'm so thankful that we have access to vaccines. I mean, I think we all need to have some prayer and thought for other countries around the world that are not as fortunate as us. And, we're debating whether or not we're going to get our vaccine, not
Not necessarily easy, but it's simple.
okay.
There are three things that people are thinking about. Thinking about trust, they're thinking about safety, and they're thinking about inclusion. Okay, let's not forget the death of George Floyd and the social unrest and the Asian hate, and like all of those things absolutely need to be at the forefront of our consciousness, of our planning, of our passion. We can't just put those things aside. People have three basic human needs. So as you're thinking about people wanting to come back to work, and it's our job to move past that fear, right? It's our job to show up and set the example for all of that. It's our job to create a culture, an environment that is attractive. And as we said, it's not your marble floors, because I've been into the most beautiful, aesthetically beautiful salons on the planet. And you walk in and there's just this feeling that just doesn't feel right, right?
Right.
So what makes us truly attractive? Three basic human needs. People right now, they need to feel safe. It's a basic human need that people feel safe. After being in the salon business, if I can tell a quick story, being in the salon business for a couple of years, the woman who worked for me in those first couple of years, one day privately pulled me aside. And she said, Winn, I want you to know that for the last 20 years, I have been in a very abusive marriage. But because of working here in your salon for the last 2 years, I now have the courage to divorce this man. And I was like, what? She's like, Winn, I've been in this horrible marriage, but for the last 2 years, when I come to work every single day, I feel safe. I feel loved. I feel like I'm making a difference here. And because of that, I now have the courage to divorce this man. Let me tell you something, Frank. That was a huge wake-up call for me, because up until that point, I thought that my only role, my only responsibility as a business leader, as an owner, was to create a place where people come to earn a paycheck. And what she taught me that day was the responsibility that I have to create a place where, number one, people feel safe, the basic human need. Number two, where people feel like they belong. Did you know that 60% of people say, no one has my back? And by the way, half of those people are married. Oh my gosh. There are people who don't even feel like they belong at home, that they don't feel safe in other environments, even at home. Well, if we could create a place within our salons, that's the gathering spot where people feel safe. They feel like they belong. Because I don't believe that people just come work in a salon, they join that salon. I don't believe that your customers just spend money in your salon, they join your salon. People want something to belong to, something that's bigger than themselves. And then the third basic human need, people need to feel that they have a purpose. Can't just be about a paycheck anymore, right? I was getting the paycheck and then COVID happened. It was like God sent everybody to their room, the entire planet, go to your room, take a time out, and you better come out learning the lessons. And so, okay, we all took a time out. We all quarantined. We shut ourselves down. Well, for what purpose? What are we supposed to learn and gain from all of that? And I believe that we now need to re-enter. We need to re-engage and come out of hiding, so to speak. We need to jump on a plane and come to your show, right? We need to move past that fear. And that purpose has to be something that drives us to do that. And the best way I know how to explain this, you could have two janitors working for an elementary school. So they have the same job, same salary, same hours, same everything. One janitor has the attitude of, these little brats make a mess around here, and it's my job to clean it up. That's what they pay me to do. And the other janitor has the attitude of, I get to create a clean learning environment for the next generation that's going to save this planet. I have a purpose here. One has a job with a paycheck, and the other one has a purpose.
How do we help people discover their purpose? Like, we can't tell people what their purpose is, because then it's something that you're trying to impose on others. But how do we help people discover their purpose?
Great question. Two ways. First of all, because we share our purpose, right? I only know what my potential is because Frank shared with me what his potential is. Frank shared with me his journey. I always share with people that I'm 19 years clean off of drugs. Why? Because then people can look at me and say, okay, well, he looks okay. Winn looks like he's doing pretty good. If he did, I could do it too. But see, if I hide that from people, if I don't tell people about my drug addiction in the past, then what hope do people have? And so we're transparent. So number one, you share your story, you share your passion, your purpose. I'm passionate about the fight against sex trafficking. I'm passionate about the elderly. I'm passionate about sick kids. I'm passionate about animal health and rescue, right? So I share with people what my passion is, and then I ask people like, well, how do I know what they're passionate about? How do I know? You ask them, what are you passionate about? Maybe for them, they have a father who was a veteran who died in a war. Okay, well, then they're passionate about that. Or maybe they have a sibling that died of suicide. Okay, well, then they're passionate about mental health. We need to ask people what they're passionate about. And then what I do is I jump on their bandwagon. Okay, well, I'm passionate about sick kids. You're passionate about mental health. Well, then I tell you what, I support you, you support me, and together we have a purpose. Together, we're bigger than just one of us. And together, we're going to move forward with this.
I love it. I love it. That's great. It keeps coming back to the reciprocal. So, Winn, I got to tell you a couple of things I'm passionate about, just to share. I'm passionate about helping women through breast cancer. I'm passionate about helping women with hair loss. And why? Because I've seen it firsthand, and I see how important it is to a person's soul. And coming from the beauty industry, we might be exposed to a lot of things, but when you see that inner beauty and how it affects a person's soul, for me, it was a defining moment, and I am so passionate about this. Any chance I get to talk about it, like I just did right now, I'm going to talk about it because that means that much to me. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about passion and sharing this passion and finding our purpose. There's so much negativity out there, and it's easy to get caught up in it. And everywhere you turn, when I say everywhere you turn, I'll be more specific. You turn on the news, you turn on this, you read that, you open up your phone, here's your news feed, you're on Instagram, you're on Facebook, and there's just so much negativity out there. But there's so much beauty out there too. And how do we change the lens? How do we help people, see that beauty that we want in others? And you know what? Just put the negative to the side and focus on that beauty. How do we help people recraft that focus?
That's a perfect direction. It's a discipline. Like something as simple as being happy. Being happy does not come naturally to me, and it never has. Happiness does come naturally to some people, but to me, my whole life, even to this day, it never has. And by the way, that used to piss me off. I used to think, why can't I coast? Why do I have to read more books on self-esteem or attend more seminars? When can I just coast with? I can't. I know that for me, it takes more work. Right. And so I'm disciplined with that. And I could, again, spend days sharing with you what my daily discipline is to make sure that I'm a happy person. Because first of all, I have a 9-year-old daughter, and how I show up is how now she's going to show up. And so I have responsibility there. But, to answer the question about getting people to see the beauty, first of all, it's the discipline of turning off the negativity. It's the discipline of saying, you know what, I'm not going to watch the 10 o'clock news. I don't watch violent films. I don't watch the Real Housewives. I mean, to me, it's heartbreaking to see God gave these women beauty and a voice and financial means and celebrity and a platform. Here, you have all of this. Now go do something with this. And what do? They use it to destroy other women. They use that. It's like high school, right? Just this little drama, and they play that out on a stage in front of millions of people. To me, that's heartbreaking. Ask me how many times I watch the Real Housewives. I don't watch that stuff, right? I divorce myself from that garbage. And there's my circle. The older I get, Frank, maybe this relates to you as well. My circle is getting smaller and smaller. Now, I know a lot of people, right? But my inner circle gets smaller and smaller. First of all, when I became a dad, that circle had to get smaller. It had to be inclusive of people who are going to support the fact that Winn wants to be a really good dad. Winn is in a monogamous marriage, and we support that, right? So that circle got even smaller. And so as my circle gets smaller, I have to make sure that it's filled with the people who support that positive lifestyle. So I'm not hanging around people who like to gossip. I don't watch those shows. I don't watch those films. I don't sit there and scroll through my Instagram feed. I don't like those negative stories. Go to my Facebook, my Twitter, my Instagram. You're never going to find anything negative. I'm not liking those people. I'm not reposting those stories. You're only going to find good, positive news. And Frank, that doesn't happen to me naturally. That is on purpose. I purposely have to think in that way and start searching for the things that are going to get me on track. A simple thing that one of my mentors taught me years ago, and you can't see it, but there's a little note on my computer right now that says, send out a thank you. Send out a gratitude email, meaning when I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, before I do anything with business, I send out some text message, an email of love and gratitude. That's how I start my day. Because if I just open up my TMZ feed or my Instagram, or I start looking at emails, one bad email could then hijack the rest of my day. And now I'm angry the entire day and that's how I'm interacting with people because of that one bad email. I start my day the way I want to start my day. And that's with love. That's with gratitude. I put it out there, but it's a discipline that I have to subscribe to, that I have to commit to.
So when I'll just say it, I'll say the same thing you just said, but I'll just say it a little bit differently. You start your day by showing up for others. And by doing that, people show up for you. So let's talk a little bit about you, because we talked about your gift to others. So talk to us about what's going on in Winn's life. Do you have a new book coming out? I mean, like, what are you doing? Like, what are you working on? Fill us in about you.
I'm just working on being a really good dad.
Good.
And
I love it.
yeah, and that's a lot of work. So she's in third grade. Just so you know, I was the room parent for pre-K, kindergarten, first grade, and second grade. Right.
That's
I
wonderful.
applied for third grade. They didn't choose me. I don't know why, but 4 years in a row. Oh, and get this, out of all the room parents in my daughter's school, I was the only dad. It was me and a bunch of moms. Maybe
you're making the
maybe
other
you want to
dads
start drinking again, by the way.
You're making the other dads look bad. You're in shape. You're good looking good. You look young, So
well, a lot of them think that, because I'm older. I'm 62. So a lot of people think that I'm her grandfather, but that's okay. And so, I was watching Oprah was interviewing oh my gosh, the comedian, incredible comedian, Beverly Hills Cop.
Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's got 10 children or something like that. But Eddie Murphy said that if you will think of your kids before you make any decision in life, you'll never make a bad decision. And I was like, oh my gosh, like how many people, they make a decision about how they're going to act, businesses they go into, illegal things or immoral things or whatever. They pursue those things without any thought as to, how is this going to impact my kids? And so I lead with that. I just want to be a good dad. And guess what? By wanting to be a really, really good dad, I'm a better leader. I'm a better husband. I'm a better son, right? I show up better. Sales increase. My followership increases. I have more followers because I'm sharing that side of my life. I'm transparent and I'm vulnerable. Right. I share with them the struggles of what it means to be a really good dad. I share with them the joys of all of that. And it's because of all of that I feel like I'm a better human being. Thank God I became a dad, because what I like to tell people is, had she not come along, I'd probably be a very rich jerk by now. So
God has blessed you.
Oh my gosh.
He's blessed you with a happiness, for all the hard work that you've done over your life, all the discipline that you've put in your life, all the commitment that you've put in your life. God has blessed you with this child that gives you happiness and love unconditionally. So you're a very, very fortunate person, Winn, and we're so fortunate to have you on Huddle Time here today. And thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Any last thoughts before we wrap up?
Yeah. I kind of like to look at what we've been through, the pandemic and everything, kind of like a forest fire. By the way, a forest fire is actually a natural happening to support the ecosystem, because even in healthy forests, there is dead trees, decaying matter. And what a forest fire does is it rejuvenates all of that. Even though it destroys things, it rejuvenates the soil so that new things can grow. And that's how I look at this pandemic. It was like a big forest fire. And yeah, it destroyed some things, but what it left is new soil for new salons, new ideas, right? New energy. Maybe some team members did fall by the wayside, but maybe in our hearts, we knew that it was time for them to move on anyway. And so now that has left a space for us to be finding that next passionate team member to join us. And that's what we need to focus on. Not what we've lost, but what we've gained through all of this. And I know that if we had a session and asked your listeners right now, your viewers, to say, share with me one incredible thing that you learned and that you gained because of this pandemic. Oh my gosh, your chat room would be blowing up right now. Yeah. Because there's so much for us to learn and gain and to celebrate because of what we've been through in the last year. All of us, believe that everything happens for a reason. And I believe that the reason is always for our good. There was a popular saying in the 60s that if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. So it's a choice that we all have to make. Let's stop being a part of the problem. Part of the problem means you're still focused on the fear. You're still focused on being lost and you don't have the answers. No, switch that focus. It's a choice. Make the choice today that you're going to be part of the solution. This is just a bump in the road. We're all going to come out better and stronger because of what we've been through. And I truly believe that from my heart to yours. I truly, truly believe that. And by the way, if any of you are struggling with believing that yourself, well, just believe that I believe it, right? Believe that Frank believes this and just kind of ride on our coattails or find other people and stand in their space, stand in their energy because they have enough belief system. They can believe in your brilliance and your potential, even when you have a difficult time believing it yourself.
Winn, I cannot thank you enough. It is always a pleasure to see you, to be with you. I can't wait to see you. I'm going to hug you. I'm vaccinated, so I'm going to hug you.
I'm ready.
When I see you. And I cannot thank you enough. And on behalf of Cosmetologist Chicago and America's Beauty Show, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you so much for your commitment to our industry. And we're so glad to hear about how things are going for you as a father and wish you all the best.
Frank, can I just say one more thing? You know, because I was watching, I was watching back in March when, okay, is ABS going to cancel? Are they going to cancel? And by the way, I was days away from hosting a huge, big event with 2,000 of my students and team members at the Disneyland Hotel. And the last minute we had to cancel as well. And then I'm watching, are they going to cancel? And it was just this back and forth. What are they doing? What should we do? Right. And it was a lot of fear and a lot of unknown out there. And to see what you guys have done, you didn't skip a beat. You didn't give up. You didn't throw in the towel. You didn't say, well, we're screwed. You said, okay, pivot. What do we got to do? And all of a sudden, emails started coming in. We got this training going on. We're going to embrace virtual. We're bringing in the best of the best educators and trainers. We're here to support you. And I have to tell you, it was inspiring for somebody like, and I'm emotional about it. It was inspiring for somebody like me that I got to figure this thing out, and to have a mentor like you and your organization truly made a difference. So thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Winn. I don't want to, I'd love to end on that, but I just want to tell you why we did that and how we did it. Do you know how we did it? It's very simple. It comes all the way back on this whole conversation. Salons showed up. They opened. They have to make a living. It's the only way for a hairdresser to make a living. So we show up.
Wow.
That's it. And we're here to serve. So
beautiful.
You and I are going to be two crying middle-aged men.
I know. Look at me. This is silly. Oh my God.
Winn, thank you again. Thank you everyone for joining us on Huddle Time tonight. And we appreciate you. Please stay safe. And if you have any questions or any comments, you can please contact us at americasbeautyshow.com. Thank you, everyone. Good night.